Mr.
The
Speaker.
next call is a split call. Jan Logie, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as the previous speaker said, love is not an economic commodity. That I want to start and say that we agree with that actually we believe that parents should be able to be there when their children first laugh. That parents should be able to be there when their baby first crawls. And that is ultimately what this piece of legislation is about. It's about ensuring that working parents are able to be there when their babies first laugh or when their babies first crawl. That those momentous times that will never, ever be repeated the parent is able to be there for those moments. Love is definitely not an economic commodity, but we need to protect working people's rights to be there with their families, and that requires legislation. As we've heard submissions through the bills, the multiple bills that have been in front of this Parliament, and I do at this moment want to pay tribute to Sue Moroney for her tenacity. I think you are an amazing battler for our babies and women and workplaces, and you have just kept going in the belief that this is the right legislation for our families and our people, and that is a view that was shared by the 6,000, almost 755, or 99.4% of the 6,755 submitters who submitted on this piece of legislation, as well as the many thousands that submitted in support in the last round of the legislation. It is a huge disappointment to me today that the people I'm representing, the people that submitted on this legislation, the people that the majority of members in this House are representing, will be unable to represent people, their intent in our votes on this House, because the national government has chosen to put a financial veto on this bill to prevent us representing them. That, to me, is just a perversion of justice. It's a perversion of the democratic process, and it is a real shame. And when the government's saying that this is unaffordable, I just want to take it back to like almost a family context of imagining my budget and thinking what would be important to me. And I've got to say, buying a new warship would not come before having time with my baby. I got to say, I think most New Zealanders would choose spending time with their baby before they would some flash new warship. I do think a warship is a luxury. A new flash warship that we're not exactly sure how much it's going to cost. I think that's a luxury. And I do not believe that seeing your child crawl for the first time should be a luxury. And that is what this government is telling the people of New Zealand, that it is unaffordable and is a luxury. Well, I don't believe it. It's not a difficult thing. And when we're being told by this government that $70 million or $69.5 million a year over 4 years is unaffordable, when they're putting more money into private schools, when they're talking about warships, and they're talking about $3 billion of tax cuts, over people being protected to be able to see their baby crawl for the first time. We know that the priorities are off. And I would normally say, well, people get a choice. You get to vote to be able to change that. Well, actually, that's the tragedy in this situation, is that people did vote for that. And even then, this government is overruling the will of the people. And it's a bloody sad day.
I call